Welcome to Ace My Exams Learning. Let us get started with today's learning.
Question. With reference to Christianity, discuss its teachings regarding crime and corruption. Christianity strongly condemns crime and corruption, urging its followers to uphold moral integrity and spiritual purity. A central teaching comes from 1 Corinthians 15, verse 33, "Do not be deceived, bad company corrupts good morals." This verse warns believers to be cautious of the influences around them, as associating with immoral individuals can lead even the righteous astray. It emphasizes the importance of maintaining strong moral character in the face of peer pressure or societal norms that encourage wrongdoing. In 2 Peter 1, verse 4, the Bible says, "For by these he has granted to us his precious and magnificent promises, so that by them you may become partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world by lust." This teaching reminds Christians that lust, often in the form of greed, is a root cause of corruption. By striving to adopt God's nature, believers are called to resist the temptations of greed and materialism that often lead to criminal and unethical behavior. The book of Genesis also offers a powerful image of corruption's consequences. Genesis 6, verse 12 states, "God looked on earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted their way upon the earth." This verse illustrates how widespread corruption angers God and leads to devastation. It implies that when humanity turns away from righteousness, the entire world suffers, which reflects the destructive impact of corruption on society. Another hopeful perspective comes from Romans 8, verse 21, which declares, "The creation itself also will be set free from its slavery to corruption into the freedom of the glory of the children of God." This verse teaches that those who live according to God's will are looking forward to a future free from corruption. It highlights the Christian hope for a renewed, just world where righteousness prevails over crime and unethical practices. Additionally, Psalm 14, verse 1 presents a harsh judgment on those who live without God. "The fool has said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt, they have committed abominable deeds, there is no one who does good." This passage teaches that the absence of God consciousness leads to moral decay. Crime and corruption are seen as a result of turning away from divine guidance and embracing selfish, godless living. Altogether, Christianity teaches that crime and corruption stem from greed, bad influences, and a lack of spiritual discipline. Followers are encouraged to seek God's wisdom, remain morally steadfast, and live in a way that promotes justice, honesty, and purity. Through faith and spiritual transformation, Christians are called to resist the forces of corruption and instead build a society rooted in integrity and godliness. Question. Suggest practical strategies that religious communities can use to combat crime and corruption in South Africa. Religious communities hold significant moral and social influence in society. In South Africa, where crime and corruption have deeply affected the functioning of government, businesses, and everyday life, religious groups can implement the following strategies to combat crime and corruption. One of the most foundational strategies is for religious communities to prioritize moral instruction based on their sacred texts. Whether it is the Bible, the Quran, the Torah, or other holy books, these texts provide clear teachings on honesty, justice, humility, and service. By consistently teaching these values in sermons, youth programs, and community meetings, religious groups help individuals build strong moral character and develop resistance to the temptations of crime and corruption. This moral education creates a generation of citizens who are more likely to act with integrity in both public and private life. In addition to regular teachings, religious communities should organize spiritual camps, workshops, or retreats that focus specifically on fighting corruption and crime. These gatherings give people time away from daily distractions to reflect on the social harm caused by unethical behavior. They can also help individuals find spiritual strength and guidance to resist pressure from peers or society that might lead them into wrongdoing. These events should include real-life stories, community dialogues, and faith-based solutions to corruption. In today's world, the media plays a central role in shaping public opinion and behavior. Religious organizations should fully utilize modern tools such as social media platforms, radio broadcasts, podcasts, and television programs to spread anti-corruption messages. They can share powerful stories of moral courage, highlight religious teachings on justice, and publicly condemn bribery, fraud, theft, and abuse of power. These messages can reach thousands, even millions, of people, especially the youth, and create a culture that sees corruption as morally unacceptable. Another powerful tool is for religious leaders and institutions to publish regular statements, newsletters, and position papers on social issues like corruption. These documents should explain the moral and spiritual consequences of crime and unethical conduct and provide guidance on how people can stand up against it. When religious voices speak clearly and boldly on these issues, they remind society of its shared moral values and help raise awareness. Religious communities can also form anti-corruption forums or alliances. These associations can bring together churches, mosques, temples, and synagogues from different traditions to work together on community education, whistleblower protection, and advocacy. A united religious front sends a strong message that corruption is a moral issue that affects all faiths and communities. However, change must begin within the religious institutions themselves. Leaders must lead by example. Religious organizations must refuse to allow corrupt individuals to hold leadership positions in their structures. If leaders are seen to be compromising ethical standards, the credibility and moral authority of the religion are weakened. Upholding internal integrity strengthens the religious community's power to speak out against wrongdoing in wider society. Furthermore, religious groups have a duty to report any act of corruption or criminal behavior they witness to the proper legal authorities. Turning a blind eye to crime only allows it to spread further. Reporting wrongdoing, even when it is uncomfortable or involves influential people, helps restore faith in the justice system and builds a culture of accountability. Lastly, religious communities should actively advocate for stronger laws and harsher punishment for individuals found guilty of corruption and crime. Through meetings with government officials, participation in public forums, or involvement in campaigns, they can push for reforms that make it more difficult for corruption to go unpunished. Publicly supporting legal consequences for criminals also strengthens trust in state institutions and encourages law-abiding behavior.
To access more learning and exam preparation materials, go to www.acemyexams.coza. This link is also in the video description below. Thank you for watching this video. Remember to subscribe and be the first to know when we upload new videos.